It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yeah, man, that's the big question indeed, because we live in a very connected world, but the price of that connection is that we're constantly staring at screens. In fact, with the increased usage of smartphones, of our tablets, computers and gaming consoles, South Africans are possibly putting themselves at risk of injury. And these are the words of chiropractor Dr. Robert Delgado, who joins us this morning to talk about how technology might actually be harming our bodies. Our lines are also open, 083-9133-728. That's the number you can call if you have any comments or questions to ask. Now, I was asking you earlier on, Dr. Delgado, are we making too much of this, though?
No, definitely not.
Really? So the risk of injury is actually very, very real. And so why are we injuring ourselves more?
The main issue with the tablets and the phones is our positioning of our head while looking at it. So what happens is when we tilt our heads forward, the relative weight on the neck increases.
Yeah?
So, for instance, tilting your forward just 15 degrees will double the weight on your neck. If we go down to 60 degrees, that's like having an 8-year-old child hanging on your neck.
Oh, my goodness.
And looking at how much we use our phones, on average, people are using them at least 2 to 4 hours per day. So you can imagine 2 to 4 hours a day of having an 8-year-old child hanging on your neck.
That would not be pleasant.
Our spines are not designed for that.
Yeah.
So it's an epidemic. It's a big problem.
And so that's why there are things like neck text. There's actually something called neck text.
Yeah, it's text neck.
Oh, text neck.
Yeah, it was a term coined by, I think, an American chiropractor, and it's the repetitive strain injury we get from constantly looking down. And it's become so common that now there's going to be more interest and more research into its short-term and long-term effects.
Yeah. Talk to me a bit about that, because it's not just having a little irritating pain, especially when we're talking about young children
Yes.
whose bodies still need to grow and develop.
That's it. I think the key thing to know is that your spinal health affects your nervous system, your brain health. So we're not just talking about pain now. We're talking about the development of the brain, especially in young people. So if we have stress on our spines, in the short term, yes, sometimes it will cause symptoms, neck pain, headache, shoulder pain. But for me, it's the longer-term effect which is important, which is going to create changes in our posture. Stooped-over posture has been linked to hormonal changes, decreased lung capacity, concentration issues, way more than just pain.
I wanted to just throw a spanner in the works and ask, but is there a reason why when you're slouching on the couch, for instance, watching a lot of TV or sports on the weekend, it's more relaxing? You enjoy it more. Are we perhaps not maybe evolving into the next level of humanity where we want to be like that all the time?
It's an interesting question, but I hope not, because what that will do is our spines will then adapt to that and we'll be rounded. The human body evolved with movement as a big part of our lives. So our nervous systems require that movement constantly. So if you look at a child, they're supposed to be crawling, walking, jumping, climbing. Now all of a sudden we have a young child sitting like this staring at a screen. They're deficient in movement, and now the brain is not receiving that information. So from a development point of view, that has massive consequences. So I think we have to address it now, and we have to educate parents especially, and adults as well, so they don't damage themselves.
So what are the telltale signs that I guess make you feel or know that it's time to seek professional help, maybe that of a chiropractor?
The first thing I would say is everyone should get checked irrespective of symptoms. So we check our teeth, we even check our car regularly, irrespective of if something's wrong. It must be part of our lifestyles to check our spines, because our spines affect our nervous systems. For what you would feel, commonly you may feel that when you turn your head or your neck, it's stiff. It doesn't go as far to the one side as the other. See everyone doing it in the studio. You may find that this becomes more comfortable for you. So, someone asks you to sit up straight, you can do it for a little while, but then you just go straight back. So that's a telltale sign.
See if I can do it for the rest of this interview.
So a stiffening, a loss of motion, maybe a tightness in the muscles. Ask someone else to check you from the side. So take a deep breath in, out, and relax. And let someone take a photo from the side. And then see how close your ear is in line with the middle of your shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Because I think with posture, we don't actually know what it looks like until someone takes a picture. And then they see the photograph, and they see they're standing like this, and all of a sudden it becomes real. So I tell my patients, especially when it comes to teenagers, if you really want them to change things, take a photo of them from the side.
Okay.
And then it becomes real to them of what actually is happening.
Posture, yeah.
And then they're more likely to do something about it.
Does the old book test work, where you put it on top of your head like this and then...
It's a great thing. I mean, it's amazing because what it does is it lifts the head and it drops the chin, which is exactly what we want. So there is some intelligence in that book test. Whether it's practical, I don't know. But that is the position that you want your head in. It's a slight downward tuck of the chin and a lifting of the head.
Yeah, well, I hope that this shows that I've got pretty good posture. We'll carry on talking to the good doctor after the break. Stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We will be right back.